Hello YouTubers, Selling Guy 60, and today we have a new video. This one's called Dave, It's Not a Lawnmower. My brother Dave gives me a hard time because of the lawnmowers. I do a lot of lawnmowers. I tell you, I couldn't get away from them this year. I had two that I got that I had fixed up over the winter during the pandemic. And I went to sell those, and before the season was over, I ended up selling 8 of them. So I ended up making somewhere over $300 just by finding lawnmowers. I sold one lawnmower. The guy that I sold the lawnmower to lived a few blocks away, and he had 2 extra ones. I said, well, bring them over. I'll look at them or use them for parts. Well, one, I put a carburetor on it, sold that one. The other one I used for parts. And then a couple weeks later, I found my last lawnmower, and the parts that I saved off his other lawnmower, I worked on the one that I found. So I had a total of 8 of them this year that I sold. Pretty crazy. So I was driving up the street here, and people are doing some remodels, selling. They're up there, I think, flipping a house. And I found this deal here. Zoom in on that a little bit there. This is a tankless water heater. Here in the bottom, here, you got the you have the gas. This is a gas one, so you have gas, cold water, and then the hot water coming out. And I know we looked at these over the years where I work here, because we have townhomes. We had townhomes and houses. I was kind of wondering about these years ago, the application of them versus a regular water heater. They have their pros and cons. You can go online and look at what you like, and you may want one of these. But I had to look up some of the history because I really didn't know a lot about these. You know, they kind of rolled in. To me, they kind of rolled in on their own in the 90s. But looked up the history. In 1889, somebody invented one of these. And in 1929, the first commercial one was by a Stiebel and Elton. And they made gas and electric ones in 1929. They came out again. They got kind of popular again during the 70s, but they still weren't efficient enough. So I'm not sure if the applications between 1929 and the 70s were more commercial or industrial applications. But in the 90s, they had the big push for these units, and when I started looking at them here, I've been here quite a few years, that they started getting popular. Well, now they have the hybrids. I always pronounce it wrong, and I probably pronounce it wrong. Hybrid storage tanks in them now, and that is that the old ones, the cold water would go in like this one here, would go in cold, and then the heat exchanger up there would turn it to hot water. Well, the hybrid ones are there's somewhat of a pre-warmer in the water, so they actually have a bigger tank that they pre-warm the water that goes in to the expansion tank and gets heated, so it doesn't have to heat it up as much. So I guess you save more on energy that way. But they still do come in electrical, which I think are 230 volt ones. And then the gas one, which this one is, which is 110 volt, which is not such a big deal. But let me get this thing set up on end here, and then we can look at it a little bit better. And I'll come back here. Okay, I'm back. I wanted to get a little closer. This is the cover. It's a Nortz. And on the back side, it has the wiring diagram of all the little switches and things in here. shows that it's a gas, 180,000 BTUs at max. So this thing puts out some hot water. Let's get this thing a little closer and look at this a little bit better. I'll back it out a little bit. Okay. So down here in the bottom, I'm kind of looking at my camera here. There we go. Down at the bottom, this is where the gas comes in right here. So it looks like some sort of switch here. Comes all the way through up to the heat box. Heats everything up in here. This up here, I'm kind of looking back on this one. It's like probably the igniter. This other one is probably a flame sensor. I think I saw that on the wiring diagram. Igniter, they don't have standing pilots anymore. There's a little thing that sparks in there and lights up the gas. And then this little flame sensor, if it goes to light up the gas and the gas doesn't light up and it doesn't work right, this senses it and shuts everything off. I've got a blower fan right here. We'll take that off. Looks like here's the hot water that's going out. It's got a check valve here, electrical check valve. There's a transformer right in here that goes from 120 volts to 12 volts. So this is all low voltage wiring. So, and then there's this big tank up here. This thing is heavy. I want to tell you. I'm going to take all this stuff off and weigh it up here and then see what the difference is between, I bet you this tank probably is a lot the weight and this firebox is, or the combustion chamber here. There's a bunch of little screws here I'm not going to bore you with, but I'm going to take that all apart and we'll look at this, and I'm going to take all this stuff out and then we'll look inside and see how big the burners are in there. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, bringing you back, 19 screws later, and I got quite a few of them on here. And let's see what's behind this little cover. If we can get this cover up.